What's up? What's happening? Welcome to Lacrosse Now. She's Megan Triplett. I'm Travis Eldridge. We've got a record-breaking score here on the show tonight, but we start with the pro game.
Yes, an MLL coach that lost his job in league contraction, all that stuff that was going on. Well, he has a new job right now in the MLL. I'm talking about former Florida Launch head man coach Tom Mariano. He's now back with the Chesapeake Bayhawks. Mariano will be an assistant coach under Dave Cottle, working as the Bayhawks offensive coordinator. Mariano held that same role in 2016 prior to getting the head coaching job with the Florida Launch. Mariano led the Launch to its first ever playoff appearance in 2017 in his first year as head coach. Overall, he went 13-15 in 2 seasons.
And so we have Tom Mariano joining us now. Tom, first, let's take you back to the Florida situation. For you, how tough was it to lose that head coaching job as the team's not going to play this year?
I think for me, it wasn't necessarily about me, losing the head coaching. It was more, all the players, the fans, our front office employees. There's a lot of us that invested everything we had into that. So, it was difficult. But, for me, I don't think my personal position was the first priority to me. It was all the players that were going to get a great opportunity, that were coming back to play with us, and the front office and our fans. That's what, I really felt the most about were those people.
And Coach, since that whole restructure news came out a couple of weeks ago, what has been the last few weeks been like for you?
A lot more college lacrosse and a lot less pro lacrosse, which has been great because we're in the middle of a playoff hunt and, having a really good season. So it's actually allowed me to really focus on that. But definitely, the itch, and kind of since it took place, obviously I've been in contact with different teams and just kind of weighing out my options. And it's been interesting. I went from doing a million things to kind of focused on, my pace team and my family, which has been actually really nice.
And so you now take the position as assistant coach of the Bayhawks, obviously an organization you're familiar with. What stuck out about the opportunity to go and be an assistant for Coach Cottle and be back with the Bayhawks organization?
Well, that was probably the biggest negative, to be Coach Cottle's assistant. The positives would be, obviously I'm comfortable there. I know a lot of the players. I know a lot of the people in the front office. Have a tremendous amount of respect for how they do their business, how they carry themselves. I have a great relationship with Coach Cottle. And, honestly, it came down to travel a little bit. It allows my family and, my kids really like Annapolis, and they really enjoyed their time with the Bayhawks. And obviously I wanted to stay in the MLL. Once you kind of start doing this, it's hard to walk away from it.
And going off of that, what was it about the MLL that you definitely wanted to come back and, keep coaching there?
I just love the relationships you have with the players, the fans, with the communities. That's something we're all excited about. You work with the, a group of fans to build up the community and build lacrosse in that area. And I think, this is not easy. This is hard to do. Pro lacrosse in the summer is not an easy business. So it's something I've kind of invested a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I want to see this reach its highest potential and be a part of taking this to the highest level we can reach.
So obviously you're no longer the GM as you've taken the assistant role, but I know you've got a lot of familiarity with a lot of guys from the Florida Launch. You now don't have a team. Are you going to be in Coach Cottle's ear about picking up a couple of guys as we go back to the dispersal draft coming up?
I don't know if he'll listen to me. I think I was a lot smarter when I was the head coach of Florida. Now that I'm his assistant, I don't know as much. But I think it's one of those, we've obviously always kind of had a collaboration and talk about different players. And, our biggest goal is obviously, and my goal, part of going to the Bayhawks, is to help them win a championship. So any way that I'm asked to do that, I'm going to lend a helping hand. And our goal is to find, kind of guys who are all in, who can be a true Bayhawk.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Congrats on the new role, and we'll catch up with you again soon as we get close to the season.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a great night.
Bye. All right, let's now switch things over to the PLL, the Premier Lacrosse League. It's the inaugural college draft. It's coming up. It will take place, tomorrow. So everyone needs to set their alarm clocks because tonight it'll air at 1 a.m. Eastern time on NBC Sports Network. Now the Archers had the #1 overall pick, and it's a snake draft similar to most fantasy football drafts.
So there you go. The league also continues to unveil locations for this summer. Of course, it all starts June 1st, Foxborough, Massachusetts, Gillette Stadiums. It continues down New Jersey, New York area, Northern Jersey, in Newark at Red Bull Arena. We continue to move across the country, hit Chicago in week 3, back to Homewood Field there for week 4, down to Hotlanta in week 5, the ATL, before going back up north, 4th of July weekend, Washington, D.C., home of the D.C. United there in the nation's capital, before heading out west. All-Star Weekend going to be in Los Angeles, Denver, Colorado. Another location announced. San Jose, as the regular season also visits California. And then some newer spots that have just been unveiled over the course of this week. We've got Halifax in Canada, going to be hosting, excuse me, not Halifax. We're going to go north of the border to Canada for a location, and then back to Columbus, Ohio for the starts of the PLL playoffs. So a lot going on for the PLL leading up to tonight's draft broadcast. Here's a behind-the-scenes look leading up to the filming of the draft.
Side to inside Studio One here at NBC Sports. As Paul just mentioned, this is where 24 of the nation's best college lacrosse players will hear their names called by the head coaches you see as an invitation to begin their professional careers in the Premier Lacrosse League. I'm Paul Burmeister, and this is the inaugural PLL Draft.
All right, really cool. So we'll get you all the latest tomorrow night on Lacrosse Now. We'll tell you who went where. That draft is at 1 a.m. Eastern tonight.
So you don't even have to stay up if you don't.
You really do. Yeah, just watch us. It's
Exactly.
fine. All right, let's get to the college game. Ahead of the start of the ACC Women's Lacrosse Tournament, that's tomorrow. The league announced its all-conference teams today.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, a trio of BC Eagles are leading the way. It's so weird how that happens. Absolutely zero surprise to see Sam Apuzzo, Kenzie Kent, and Dempsey Arsenault all on the All-ACC Conference first team. The three of them account for nearly 60% of the team's points, with both Apuzzo and Kent closing in on 100 points already on the season. Sam's at 96, Kenzie's at 94 so far. All three are also likely first-team All-Americans.
And another first-team All-ACC honoree is North Carolina sophomore Jamie Ortega. She ranked number 3 in the conference in goals per game and top 5 in points. Ortega and teammate Katie Hogue have combined for more than 150 points.
Also getting a first-team nod, Duke's Olivia Jenner. Not only does Olivia have 68 points on the season, ranking 2nd on the Blue Devils, but she's one of the best in the draw control circle in the entire country. Jenner ranks top 10 in the nation, top 3 in the conference, averaging more than 7 draw controls per game.
And then there's the player ranked first in the conference in draw controls per game. That's Notre Dame's Andy Aldave. She ranked 6th in the nation, averaging 8 draw controls per game. And she also has 57 points, including 40 goals on the season.
So here is the first part of that All-ACC first team. Aldave not alone for Notre Dame. She's joined by Maddie Howe, who's top 10 in the conference in points per game. Syracuse's Emily Horashuk has been terrific for the Orange at the attack spot. She scored 57 goals so far this year. Looking at the second part of this list, Taylor Moreno and Samantha Jackalone have both been stellar in goal this season, both ranked toward the top of the ACC in save percentage, stopping better than 50% of the shots they've seen.
And then moving to the All-ACC second team, Duke's Charlotte North is the headliner. She ranked 2nd in the nation, scoring more than 4 goals per game, but is only on the second team. North leads the Blue Devils with 89 points on the season. Now, earlier this year, she broke the Duke single-game record by putting up 11 goals versus Presbyterian. And here's the rest of the second team list. North is joined by Louisville's lone all-conference representative, Tessa Chad, at attack, along with North Carolina's Katie Hogue and Virginia's Avery Schumacher. Now, in the midfield, the list includes Gianna Bowe from UNC, Mary Rahal from Syracuse, and Virginia Tech's Emma Crooks.
Then on defense, Syracuse's Sarah Cooper, the only freshman to make either the first or second team in the conference. She's been stellar in her first season in Orange. In cage, it's BC's Abby Nagai, the 3rd goalie on the All-ACC list. She was the 5th BC player on one of these first 2 teams, but North Carolina actually led the way in the All-ACC honorees. They had 6 players honored. We've got more on the ACC Women's Tournament coming up later in the show. As for now, coming up on Lacrosse Now, we get a visit from Hofstra women's coach Shannon Smith. She shares what it's like to coach the goal-scoring machine, Alyssa Perrella.
And plus, we'll run down the players banged up as we enter the most important part of the season, including some question marks around Towson All-American faceoff man Alex Woodall.
And we'll get to some of the highlights of the night, including the Michigan Wolverines looking to bounce back from a rough stretch.
Join us for the most rewarding lacrosse tradition, Shootout for Soldiers. Shootout for Soldiers is a 24-hour lacrosse event with a mission to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement. Started by a group of high schoolers in Maryland in 2012, Shootout for Soldiers has raised over $3 million for our nation's heroes. A festival-like atmosphere that engages veterans, active duty, and a local community will be hosted in 12 locations in 2019. Registration is open. Men's and women's teams of all ages and abilities are welcome to participate. Visit www.shootoutforsoldiers.com for more information and to register. 24 hours, 1 game, 1 goal, support our troops.
We got a good show tonight.
Talking about the high school season.
We're here right now at Dickinson College.
And in order to try to win this stick, we have a trivia question.
Great to have you here.
You play from that emotion, you can't really lose.
You played for a year and you fell in love with the game.
Watch Beyond the Game on
Lacrosse Now is brought to you in part by New Balance Lacrosse. Built for lacrosse.
Welcome back. Now get ready because this weekend it is the last regular season game in the CAA conference for the women. And on Saturday, we'll have a game right here on LSN. It's Hofstra at Drexel. It's our CAA game of the week. Game time is set for 3 p.m. Eastern, and of course, it is free. So let's take a look at what you need to know for each of these teams. The Drexel Dragons are 1-4 in the conference, but when it comes to the postseason, the Dragons' hopes are still alive. Now, for them to make the conference tournament, the Dragons need Elon to lose at William & Mary on Friday night, but then they have to win on Saturday against Hofstra. Now, as for Hofstra and the Pride, for them this weekend, the Pride clinched a berth to the CAA Championship, defeating Delaware last weekend. Hofstra improved to 10-6 overall and 3-2 in league action, and the 10 wins are the most since the 2015 squad won 11 games. Now we have Hofstra head coach Shayna Smith joining the show. And coach, has it hit you yet that this weekend is your last regular season game?
Not yet. It's crazy to think about. This season has definitely gone super fast. I think that's just a testament, though, to the type of team that we had. We've all had a lot of fun with one another. We have a great group of young ladies in that locker room, and we have a great staff. So every day's been a really, really fun ride, and it's been a fun journey up to this point.
And talking about that journey, you guys have had a great season. What have you learned about your team from game one going into the last weekend of the regular season?
We've learned a lot about one another, and I think one of the things that we've learned is that we're extremely resilient. I think that any obstacle or any adversity that we have faced this season, our team has handled that, and I think that's a testament to our tremendous leadership we have on our team with our captains, Alyssa Perella, Darcy Smith, and Annalise Martin. I think they've done a really tremendous job, especially with the youth that we have, and I have to give a lot of credit to our freshmen. They have yet to play like freshmen this whole season. They step up every day and challenge, and we've really have challenged them and set the bar high for them. And I think that just, like I said, is due to our leadership to allow them, our freshmen and sophomores, to play the way they are, and it's due to our leadership we have on our team.
And getting ready for your last game of the regular season and going against Drexel, what do you still want to see from your team?
Yeah, I think for us, it's all about going in there and playing well against Drexel and using this as another stepping stone for us to get better. Drexel's a really tough team. They're still going to be playing for their season. We can't look ahead to our conference tournament yet. We have to stay focused on Drexel and use this week to get better and to prepare for next weekend.
And I want to talk about your really superstar player, Alyssa Perella. She broke the program record last weekend in that game. Just how special has she been to coach?
So special. I think that the records that Alyssa has been able to accomplish in breaking, it has been tremendous. I was a part of Britton Altamare when she was here setting those records, and to see Alyssa do it as quickly as she's done as a junior breaking these records is unbelievable. There's not that many words that you can use to describe the season that she's having because it's a tremendous season. She's one of the best players in the country right now, and she's definitely established herself as that. And I think that she's a kid that needs to be talked about because she has set herself apart from everyone else, being a lethal scorer, a kid that can play under pressure for us, and you can always rely on her and count on her. And I think one thing about it is she raises the level of everyone else's play around her on our team, and I think she's a great kid. I love being around her. I think the two of us have similar personalities in terms of our goofiness and liking to have fun. So I think we feed off of one another like that, especially in our film sessions and out there on the field. But at the same time, I think Alyssa, respecting the fact that I definitely have pushed her this season as well, and definitely have asked a lot of her. And I think that she's reached those levels and beyond. I think this is a storybook season, and I know Alyssa for herself, she's going to say that she wants that CAA championship at the end, but she's a player that needs to be talked about in the country. She has definitely deserved it, and she's only a junior, and I think that's a tremendous season that she's having so far. She's the best player in our conference and is one of the top players in the country.
Wow, those are some big high praises, and we can definitely see it from Alyssa Perella on the field. And you talk about how she wants that CAA championship. I know you say you're just taking it one game at a time, but whoever you face in the CAA tournament, what do you hope your team kind of gets from this last game of the season, and then going into the tournament to stay focused?
Yeah, I think for us it's day by day, and I know it's funny to say that, but it is. I think that we can't look too far ahead, and I think that our team is very realistic with one another. And we're honest with one another, and we know that we need to continue to get better, and we have a tough road ahead of us, but it's a road that we're extremely excited to be on. And something that we talk about is we can't take this for granted. You never know when you're going to have this opportunity again, and we have such a special group of young ladies in that locker room that we want to continue to play with one another and continue to gain more practices with one another, another week on our season. So we're just going to continue to cherish every moment that we have and continue this journey that we're on.
And Coach, lastly, for this is your last road game of the regular season. What do you want to say about your senior class?
Our senior class is tremendous. They've done so much for our program. They've done everything we've asked them to do over their course of 4 years of being here. And I think that for them, they're super excited. It's going to be their first run at a CAA championship in the CAA tournament. So I know they're extremely excited about that. And, they've done so much for us, and their leadership has been tremendous for us.
Well, Coach, good luck against Drexel this weekend. I'll see you at the CAA tournament.
All right, sounds great. Thank you so much.
And if you want to hear more about the CAA and get you ready for this last week of the regular season from the conference, make sure you tune in on Wednesdays for CAA Press Pass, where we have all the highlights from the week that was and get you set for the week that is ahead. And of course, we're almost 1 week away from conference tournaments, so time is and the games are heating up. So make sure you tune in on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on LSN and on the LSN app. All right, still ahead on Lacrosse Now, we get to the highlights from the night. A few games just wrapped up, and we'll tell you what went down. And plus, we take a look at the teams that are dealing with some injuries that could have some major impact. All that and more still ahead.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. With the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
We got a good show tonight.
Talking about the high school season.
We're here right now at Dickinson College.
And in order to try to win this stick, we have a trivia question.
Great to have you here.
You play from that emotion, you can't really lose.
You played for a year and you fell in love with the game.
Watch Beyond the Game on LSN.
All right, let's get you caught up on some of the games from tonight. Number 5, Yale playing a little midweek game coming off that Friday win over Albany. Got one more Ivy League game this weekend. This is the type of game will make them feel pretty good about themselves. Jackson Morrill to Brendan Rooney. Bulldogs strike first. It's 1-0. Yale off to a 5-0 start before the Quinnipiac Bobcats respond. George Demimetier makes it a 5-1 game, but more from Yale in the second quarter. Morrill, again, this time he's scoring. He had himself a big game. That makes it 12-4. Third quarter, more from Morrill. finds Jack Ty. Morrill finishing the night, 2 goals and 6 assists for 8 points. Oh, and there was more. Greg Gatto to Thomas Duran. All in all, it equals a 24-8 win for the Bulldogs. They are a Final Four weekend type contender. We mentioned what Morrill did with the 8 points. Ty with 3 goals and 2 assists. Matt Brandow with 5 points. Yale had 14 different guys score tonight. There aren't many teams that can go 14 deep, but Yale can. They got the big win.
Let's move on to Brown and Bryant in an Ocean State clash of this game. This game was earlier into the night. Let's go to the first quarter. Brown's going to be up 3-1. At some point, they're going to get ready to set. Now it's 3-1. It's Ryan Ockhaven sets up George Grell to get Brown out the gates quick, and they come firing out. Brown leads 4-1. But still in the first quarter, Bryant's going to respond at this point. It's Taylor Weingarten beats Austin Kent, and that would knot things up. Oh, here we go. They had to celebrate that last goal. And here is Taylor Weingarten beats Austin Kent. And this one's going to knot things up at 4. So we have a tied game in the first quarter. But not so fast. Let's go to the second quarter of the game. At this point, Brown would have a 4-goal lead and be up 8-4. And this is going to cap off a 5-goal run by Brown. It's Jack Niffen connects with Jackson Newsom to break the game open for the Bears. Brown extends that lead and makes it 9-4. But then in the third quarter, Bryant's down 5. They're still playing and getting back in this game. It's Mason Balch tries to get the Bulldogs into it. Ooh, as much as possible by converting off of that turnover. So now Bryant has cut the game to a 4-goal game. There's a lot of time on the clock. The fourth quarter, Brown has a 10-goal lead at this point. Jack Parr caps off yet another 7-goal Bear run to put the game out of reach. Brown just kept going on runs, and Brown's going to win this game too. Big, not upset, but they were just out firing. 17-7 was the final. Now for Bryant, Weingarten had 3 goals, 1 assist. Bosch had 2 goals, but for Brown, they moved go to 6-8 on the year. I mean, Grell had 4 goals, 2 assists. Niffen had 6 points as well, but Brown gets the big win.
Brown is still a team that could find a way into the Ivy League tournament. Beware of the Bears. Let's go to the women's game. Michigan in action against Detroit Mercy. Wolverines coming off that brutal stretch that they've had over the last couple of weeks, playing the likes of Northwestern and Maryland. This one, a little bit more manageable. Caitlin Muir makes a sharp right turn. Wolverines up 3-2. Adriana Pendino now to Lily Grass. Makes it an 8-2 Wolverines lead. Michigan still rolling. Nadine Stewart, 10-2 Wolverines at the half. Detroit Mercy looking to fight back into this thing. Christina Ellis finds a little path through the defense, but too much from Big Blue. Nadine Stewart to Claire Galvin. 14-6 at that point, 14-7 your final. The 8th-ranked team in the country getting the win. Grass with 3 points, Stewart with 3 points, Pendino with 3 points. Nice all-around effort for Michigan as they're back to their winning ways.
Coming up, with conference tournaments right around the corner, we take a look at the teams that are dealing with some injuries.
And we get back to our CAA Game of the Week coming your way on Saturday. Hofstra's new points record holder joins the show, tells us what makes this year different for the Pride out on Long Island.
Speed. Power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championships. May 25th through 27th at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia.
In the stick, boom, on the money, cradle and a pass. Win the first championship!
Visit ncaa.com/lacrosse to get your tickets today.
Join us for the most rewarding lacrosse tradition, Shootout for Soldiers. Shootout for Soldiers is a 24-hour lacrosse event with a mission to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement. Started by a group of high schoolers in Maryland in 2012, Shootout for Soldiers has raised over $3 million for our nation's heroes. A festival-like atmosphere that engages veterans, active duty, and a local community will be hosted in 12 locations in 2019. Registration is open. Men's and women's teams of all ages and abilities are welcome to participate. Visit www.shootoutforsoldiers.com for more information and to register. 24 hours, one game, one goal, support our troops. It is the final weekend of the season, and a lot of teams are dealing with some players that are listed as day-to-day with some injuries.
Yeah, and of course, this is the most important time of the year. Every game counts. Teams looking to get a little extra boost. These injuries could make a big impact this week.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the teams that are dealing with some of those injuries. Let's first start with Towson, the Tigers. And a guy that Towson could be without this weekend is their face-off guy, Alex Woodall, who left last weekend's game against Delaware after going 5 for 5 on face-offs. Now, 14th ranked Towson has clinched a spot in the CA tournament, but they're playing for the right to host the conference tournament coming up.
Meanwhile, there's Boston University defenseman Quentin Germain. Germain pivotal in the win a couple of weeks ago against Loyola. He guarded Pat Spencer, one of the reasons why Spencer held to just that one assist in that win for BU, but he left that game early with a lower body injury. Did not play last week against Holy Cross. Terriers play Navy on Friday afternoon with a chance to earn a Patriot League tournament quarterfinal bye. A chance to get that bye into the semifinals. Really important. So interesting to watch if he is in the lineup.
And then also in the Patriot League, Lehigh is dealing with some major injuries, and one of those being Eddie Buhal. Buhal has been officially listed as out indefinitely for undisclosed reasons. He hasn't played since March 12th in a game against Rutgers and has been seen on the sidelines in a leg brace.
And then over in the ACC, top seed Virginia has been without Michael Krause and could be without him during the conference tournament this week. Krause second on the Virginia men's lacrosse team, 51 points, fourth with 29 goals scored entering this tournament. He's missed the last couple of games with an injury, listed as day-to-day, has not played since April 6th. That's according to Inside Lacrosse.
So this brings up the question, with all of these injuries, and especially some of those guys are some top players on their teams, what team could probably needs them the most and have the biggest impact?
Virginia without Michael Krause is a very different team. Look, they got a lot of good offensive pieces, but Krause being out for the last couple of weeks has to be a little worrisome, though they were done with the ACC slate. Krause played against North Carolina, didn't play in some of the games that they thought that they could handle, VMI and Marist down the stretch here. So maybe it's just a precautionary thing. One thing about the Alex Woodall injury, according to Ed Lee of the Baltimore Sun, who was at that game last week, Delaware and Towson, it seemed as though he was just had something tending to some type of bloody lip. And he was told from Towson that he was available during that game, but they had a face-off guy that was doing a nice job in backing him up. So why put Woodall back in there when you're having success at the X? I think Woodall is going to be okay through hearing that. The Krause injury is probably a little bit more worrisome overall.
Yeah, I think that could be the biggest one, just in the sense of for the ACC. The ACC is just, the talent is so jam-packed. And I know Virginia has clinched that top seed, but when you have a guy who is like the leader and he still missed 3 games, that's a player you'll want out there on the field with you.
Honestly, if I'm Virginia, I don't even care about the ACC tournament at this moment. I know it's important. You need to get him healthy for 2 weeks from now for the NCAA.
That is very true.
Or
and
3 weeks from now. So you got time.
Yeah, and then you also feel for for Lehigh. Lehigh has been dealing with a lot of injuries. It's not just Buhal. They're just dealing with a lot of injuries, and they bring back a player, and they have a player, and they come out. You feel for them because they're doing so well right now.
Lehigh's hit a tough stretch. They lost to Bucknell this past weekend, and it seemed as though, like, leading into that Loyola game, they kind of figured everything out. And then you had the injury during the Loyola game to one of your top defenders who had been back. And the Mountain Hawks, between the suspensions earlier this season and then all the injuries they've dealt with, it was a year that had a lot of promise that has turned out to be not quite what they wanted. But they still they're going to find a way into the Patriot League tournament, and you win 3 games. You win 3 games, you're in.
That is true. I mean, hopefully all works out.
Change your own luck.
This is like the most exciting time of the year, especially when it comes to the tournament and different seedings. But then it's also the worst time of the year because a lot of these guys are banged up. They've been playing like tough opponents, and then you feel for them because now it's really about to start up.
Look, and these guys aren't alone. We've seen Pat Spencer banged up at times this year, and things brought up about his injury history. Daniel Baccaro from Georgetown has dealt with injuries. We're not sure what Isaac Paparo, he left our game last week, the CAA Game of the Week for UMass. He's an important piece for the Minutemen. So a lot of important pieces that have been banged up at times throughout the year. You just hope that they all get healthy for the right time so it doesn't determine things, because that's the last thing you want. Look, teams can deal with adversity, but the last thing you want is good players going out during key times of the year.
Yeah, well, wait and see. We'll have to
wait. Coach say next man up.
That is true. That is true. You just hate seeing people get hurt, especially the ones that are so good. You want them to finish out the whole entire season. So hopefully all these players we just listed,
knock on wood,
right? They all come back and they all play, and everyone's healthy. That's the best thing that can happen.
Stay healthy.
All right, still ahead on Lacrosse Now. We got a lot more to talk about, right?
Yeah, we're gonna run through these standings for a couple of conferences as we head toward the final week of the regular season. Interesting stuff to still figure out in the CAA. So this weekend, Friday night, our CAA Game of the Week, UMass and Delaware. The Minutemen control their own destiny. UMass wins against Delaware. They will be the top seed and host the CAA tournament. Things get more interesting if UMass loses, because if UMass loses to Delaware, it's not the Blue Hens who get to host. It would be up to Towson and Drexel. The Tigers and Dragons play on Saturday. If Towson beats Drexel and Delaware beats UMass, Towson would host. However, if Drexel beats Towson and Delaware wins, then Delaware would host. So one of those 3 teams is going to host the CAA tournament. We're still not sure where we're going to go yet. Drexel has secured that final playoff spot. So the Dragons are in. We just don't know quite the order of those top 4 yet.
That's always fun when you know the 4 teams, but you just don't know where it's going to be.
Exactly.
That's exciting.
Keeping us on our toes.
Well, let's take a look at the Patriot League standings. We talked about a couple of these teams. You got Loyola sitting at the top at 6-1, and then with Lehigh, as we just told you, Buhal has an injury. They're 5-2, and they're tied right now with BU. You know, Boston University beat Lehigh. That was a big game for them. BU dealing with some injuries as well. They're 5-2, and then you got Army sitting at 5-3. So pretty sure those are going to be the top 4 teams, you know, into the tournament.
Well, the most important thing when you look at these standings, the top 2, because the top 2 get the bye into the Patriot League semifinals. If you're 3, 4, 5, or 6, you end up playing in the quarterfinals. That race for the end became very, very interesting. Navy now has got to beat a really good BU team to preserve their spot. Bucknell coming off the win over Lehigh, so things are very jumbled and interesting in the Patriots.
Still a lot of questions left.
And keep an eye on Holy Cross. Team is sneaky good, just flying under the radar this year. Finally, in the ACC, this tournament is set. Syracuse and North Carolina, they play on Thursday night down in Chapel Hill. The winner of the 4-5 game, that's new this year, is all 5 teams for the first time made the ACC tournament this year. The winner of that 4-5 game gets Virginia in one semifinal on Saturday. Duke and Notre Dame locked into the other semifinal on Saturday. All those semis at UNC in Chapel Hill. The championship game, not until a week later. You got to wait a whole week. That game will be hosted by the highest remaining seed.
Yeah, this is the first year this whole kind of like format, so it'll be
2 different weekends.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. All right, so still ahead on Lacrosse Now, Hofstra midfielder Alyssa Perella will join the show to discuss her junior season and what it feels like to already know that her team is going to the postseason.
And Got a full lineup of games for you coming up on Wednesday, including a big 4-set of quarterfinal games in the ACC Women's Tournament. We'll get you ready for all of them when we come back.
Join us for the most rewarding lacrosse tradition, Shootout for Soldiers. Shootout for Soldiers is a 24-hour lacrosse event with a mission to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement. Started by a group of high schoolers in Maryland in 2012, Shootout for Soldiers has raised over $3 million for our nation's heroes. A festival-like atmosphere that engages veterans, active duty, and a local community will be hosted in 12 locations in 2019. Registration is open. Men's and women's teams of all ages and abilities are welcome to participate. Visit www.shootoutforsoldiers.com for more information and to register. 24 hours, one game, one goal, support our troops.
We got a good show tonight.
Talking about the high school season.
We're here right now at Dickinson College.
And in order to try to win this stick, we have a trivia question.
Great to have you here.
You play from that emotion, you can't really lose.
You played for a year and you fell in love with the game.
Watch Beyond the Game.
Welcome back here to Lacrosse Now. Why don't we run through the top goal scorers in the women's game at the moment. At number 3, Duke Charlotte North, the sophomore from Dallas, Texas, has been on a tear. 68 goals this season. She told us this week on Lacrosse Weekly on ESPN+, she's a huge Steph Curry fan, and apparently she's taking some notes, putting things up in bunches, big numbers. At number 2, Boston College's Sam Apuzzo, the reigning Tewaaraton winner, the favorite to hoist the award once again this year. She scored 71 goals in 17 games, looking to make it 3 straight seasons with at least 80 goals. That's ridiculous. But number 1 in the nation in goals scored this season, Hofstra's Alyssa Perella. Maybe a surprise if you haven't been paying attention to the CAA, but the junior from Long Island can play. Perella has scored 78 goals in just 16 games. That's an average of nearly 5 per game. She's already the owner of Hofstra's single-season goal-scoring record, and she's just 2 goals away from breaking the career goal-scoring record. And she's already Hofstra's career points record holder. Perella passed Brittany Altamari on Friday, now up to 249 career points. Remember, she's just a junior. Perella has the entire rest of this year and an entire senior season to continue to create a new scoring standard in Hofstra women's lacrosse. And so we're now joined by Alyssa Perella, quickly rewriting the Hofstra career record books. Alyssa, you're almost there for goals. You've broken the career points record. There have been a lot of people that have played lacrosse at Hofstra. What does it mean to you to be on top of some of these record books?
It's been an honor and really exciting, but I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without my teammates. This season especially, they've been pushing me to my limit, and they've been pushing me as hard as ever, especially my coaches. We've all been working extra hard on the field and doing extra work outside of it, and I just really couldn't put any of this together without my coaches and my teammates. So it's been an exciting year, and we're just ready to see what we could do in the conference tournament.
For you, when you see your name kind of climbing up past other notable names in Hofstra women's lacrosse history, are you somebody that wants to know about some of those people you're passing?
Yeah, I do. We we always talk about our alumni and how great they are and the footsteps that they've built for us. And I think that everything that has been going on in our season, we have really, really supportive alumni. So just seeing those names and stuff, it has really been an honor. And especially knowing someone like Britton Altamari, she is an incredible player and is someone that I've known and been able to talk to and really looked up to. So it's been really cool, and she's been really supportive for me too. And it was just really nice to have someone to look up to like that.
There are many players who just gradually get better like you have in terms of production points-wise throughout their career. You were really good as a freshman and then got better as a sophomore, and now you got even better numbers as a junior. What is it about how you've kind of gradually gotten more comfortable in the college game that's allowed you to produce more?
Definitely confidence. I think that over the years, you just build up that confidence playing on the field, playing against really, really great teams and other great opponents. It's just really confidence and also your teammate support. And I think that even as a freshman, I've had leaders and seniors and upperclassmen who have pushed me to my best potential. And I think that's what's been really going on ever since. And even as a sophomore, the same thing. And even junior year, I think I just have really big support groups from my coaches and my teammates. So it's been a ride, but I'm really excited for what's to come. And I really give all the credit to my teammates for helping me push myself and get me to this point also.
You guys are headed to the CAA tournament in a couple of weeks. What's different about this collective team than in your first 2 years? What's been the difference maker this year?
We just have a really, really good group of girls, and we're having a lot of fun. I think that's like most important is the fun that we're having on and off the field. We trust each other on and off the field, and that just brings over to our game plays and just pushing each other, like I've been saying. We're going against each other and we're working really hard. And when you have that high intense competitive practices every single day, it just makes the games, you're more comfortable playing in the games. And I think that's really the biggest thing is just working together, building that chemistry, and just having a great group of girls who are pushing you every single day.
You guys obviously as a team have that collective goal of making the CAA tournament, having a chance to compete for a championship and make the NCAAs. For you individually, when you walked into this year, I wonder, what were the individual goals for you, and have you felt like you've hit them?
I think my individual goals were mainly just staying positive through everything, every single game, no matter the outcome. Stay positive, pick up my teammates, and make sure that I'm giving the team any way of like becoming as successful as possible at the end of it. I want to contribute to the game as much as I can when I'm out on the field and play 110%, and just make sure that I'm having making everyone around us look as good, and just putting the ball in the back of the net as much as I can, but at the same time contributing as much as I can and being as positive and keeping everyone level-headed when things aren't going our way, but making sure that everyone's staying tough and keeping that confidence up.
Yeah, you certainly haven't had any trouble with the contributions. There's been a lot of goals scored this year for you. For you guys as a team, you lost to JMU and Towson, who have been the class of this conference, each only by 1 goal. What can be the difference maker that you guys discuss and work on as you have this final game of the regular season and you look ahead to next week?
Yeah, I think it's really just putting everything together and making sure the little mistakes don't happen. I think that towards the beginning of the year, those little mistakes, they're okay to happen and we grow from them. But at this point, it's the little things have to be done correctly. And I think we've been working with that during practices a lot, making sure the little things are happening correctly, making sure we're not making the same mistake twice. And I think going into a game that's going to be tough and going into the CAA play, when those little things do happen, we got to move on for them, keep our heads up, and really move forward and pick it up for the next couple of games.
Well, Alyssa, it's been really fun to watch you so far this season. Looking ahead and looking forward to the CAA tournament with you guys in the last game of the regular season. Good luck. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
And we get to see Alyssa in our CAA Game of the Week right here on LSN this weekend. The Pride head to Philadelphia to take on Drexel. Hofstra looking to close out the regular season with the win, gather a little bit more momentum entering next weekend's CAA tournament. Opening draw set for 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, only on LaxSportsNetwork.com and the LSN app. As for now, coming up, we'll get you ready for the ACC Women's Quarterfinals. A huge day of lacrosse, including 5 of the top 7 teams in the country. And we've got everything you need to know entering the final week of the NLL regular season. How the expansion San Diego Seals can still end up with the top seed in the West. So if you're in the Boston area, you should find a way to get to Boston College's Alumni Stadium tomorrow. 5 of the top 7 teams in the country in action as the ACC Women's Tournament gets underway.
Yeah, an incredible collection of talent. So let's run through the quarterfinal matchups for tomorrow. All right, so it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern as top-ranked and undefeated Boston College takes on Louisville. Now, these two just met over the weekend with the Eagles soaring past the Cardinals 19-6. The even scarier part about that result is BC did it with Kinsey Kent and Sam Apuzzo putting up just 2 points apiece. Dempsey Arsenal led the way with 6 goals on the day.
It's pretty good when they only have 2 points apiece. The second game on the day should be a little bit more interesting. 4th-ranked Syracuse, just the 4th seed in the tournament, they're the 4th team in the country, 4th seed in the ACC, takes on 7th-ranked Virginia, who's the 5 seed. These two haven't played since early March when the Orange beat the Cavs 16-11 in the Carrier Dome. But Syracuse virtually unbeatable at home this year, going 11-1, the only loss to number 1 BC. So expect a different game tomorrow, now to neutral site.
And then at 5 p.m. Eastern, the 3rd game of the day, 2-seed and 3rd-ranked North Carolina faces 7th-seeded Virginia Tech. The Hokies enter the tournament on a 5-game losing streak, but all 5 of those teams are ranked in the top 7 in the country, and they'll certainly need to do better offensively this time around against the Heels. The 19-5 loss to North Carolina in the regular season was the Hokies' lowest goal output of the year.
Yeah, you're going to have to score more than 5 goals against those Heels. Then it's Duke and Notre Dame in the other quarterfinal. These two teams will square off for the 2nd time in a 10-day span. Blue Devils and Fighting Irish just played on April 14th, where Notre Dame lost 15-7. Irish featuring one of the top defenses in the country, coming in 4th nationally this week in scoring defense. And then there's a men's game tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
Outside of the ACC quarterfinals, we're going to go to the Midwest. Winners of 3 of their last 4, Cleveland State closes out its 3rd season in program history with Detroit Mercy. A win. The Vikings will finish above 500 for the first time ever, a remarkable change from the 4-10 season last year. Now, let's get them a conference to play in so they can try to make it and run an NCAA tournament berth, because this team deserves to make a run at an NCAA tournament spot. Shout out to Cleveland State coach Dylan Sherrod.
And we've got more lacrosse for you here on Friday, some happy hour lacrosse. 5 p.m. Eastern time, it's our CAA game of the week. This number 20 Delaware visits 15th-ranked UMass. The top seed in the CAA tournament and the right to host the tournament is at stake. Watch it right here on LSN and on the LSN app.
And we also have more women's action this weekend here on LSN. Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Towson heads north to Delaware to take on the Blue Hens. Tigers looking to gain more momentum entering next week's CAA tournament. You can, of course, watch that on LSN and the LSN app as well. Still to come, we're breaking down the playoff scenarios in the NLL. Who's going to claim the top seed in the West Division? We'll tell you.
Coach Quirk here. Today we're going to be covering our clearing game. Okay, the next drill is clearing. We're going to use 2 low defenders, a midfielder at the top of the box, and a midfielder pinching down low to simulate a clear to push our offense. We'll start with the goalie with the ball, breaking out to the wing player, calling for the ball, get that overpass, build up the ladder up the field, and our midfielders breaking up for some transition. Really the fundamentals that we're working on are overpasses, stick work, breaking to the ball, and breaking upfield to receive a pass to start the offense. Break. Overpass completed. Now we're building the ladder up the field. Player coming to the ball, midi breaking up the field to start transition. At every level, clearing is instrumental to starting the team offense. A few coaching points during the clearing drill: communication, good crisp passes, fundamentals, stick work, breaking to the ball, and breaking up the field.
All right, before we go, let's now head indoors and talk about the NLL. The playoffs are just 1 week away. And with the East officially set, we still have some questions about the West.
We've got lots of questions in the West.
So for Calgary, they've already wrapped up their regular season schedule and have clinched a playoff spot. So that just leaves us with one question. Will they host a playoff game? Now, for that to happen, here are the scenarios for them. Calgary can clinch a first-round home playoff game with a San Diego win versus Buffalo and a Saskatchewan loss versus Colorado.
So, that's Calgary. Why don't we move on to San Diego? Seals currently tied with the Rush at 10-7 atop the West Division. But the Rush have the tiebreaker with San Diego on the year. So, in order for the Seals to get the top seed in the West, they've got to win this weekend, and they also need Saskatchewan to lose. So they got to beat the Bandits, the best team in the NLL, and they need the Rush to lose to the Mammoths. So a lot needs to happen for San Diego.
Yeah, so how about for the Rush now? They're looking for that top seed as well in the West Division. And Sassas, they're taking on Colorado. And for them to clinch the top seed, 2 different ways can happen. One, a win versus Colorado on April 27th, or a San Diego loss versus Buffalo on April 27th as well. So
when you got it,
yeah,
you can even get some help.
Yeah, so basically, if you wanted to be in your control, just win.
Just win. It's all you got to do. All right, let's take a look at the division standings here entering the final week. San Diego and Saskatchewan, that top seed, obviously important because then you would get not only a home game in the divisional semifinals, but also possibly the divisional finals. If you win that first round game, that's certainly important. Also, I don't think Saskatchewan wants to see Calgary after what the Roughnecks did to them last week, so a chance to possibly avoid them there.
All right, so let's take a look at the East Division. So this is all set. We figured this out last weekend. So Buffalo, they've clinched that top seed. They're 13-4 after their win over the weekend. And Georgia Swarm, you know what? They are number 2 in the seed because they lost. I think it was Philly that beat them, and they said, thank you, thank us later, Buffalo. So the Swarm had that 2 seed, they're 12-6, and then the Rock and New England Black Wolves, they have clinched the playoff spot, they're 3-4.
So we got Bandits, Black Wolves in one semifinal, Swarm, Rock in the other. Georgia and Buffalo will be home in a couple of weeks for playoff games. Playoff action.
What? This is the best time of the year. Best
great.
Time. It's
good stuff.
We're talking playoffs, we're talking tournaments, we're talking conference tournaments. Oh my gosh, can't keep up. My mind's like,
Best time of the year.
It is.
Let's get rolling. And we will see you tomorrow night right here on Lacrosse Now and continue to get you all ready for the big weekend.
All right, see ya.